Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode. I'm back with Nidhi today. So, Nidhi is an mental health advocate. So, thank you very much for being here. It's my pleasure to have you. Thank you.
Same here. Glad to be you and thank you for having me.
My pleasure. My pleasure. So, Nidhi, before beginning or getting into any conversation, why don't you introduce yourself and what you do and all about your work?
Right. So basically, as you already know where you reached out, I have a mental health page on Instagram called Mindcology, and I also am a mental health advocate. And I take a lot of live sessions in and around mental health. And I also collaborate with various NGOs in Mumbai and various schools to talk about mental health amongst all age groups.
Okay.
And most importantly, I also kind of I also take it for the LGBTQ community. So yes, I'm also currently pursuing my master's in clinical psychology, and yeah, that's about it.
Okay, great, great. Thank you very much. So, before beginning or getting into any kind of conversation which we would like to have for today's session, it would be great if you could introduce
Mhm.
sorry, if you could keep your perspectives and thoughts on what you think is mental health. Of course, we know it's
Right. So,
yeah. Go ahead.
yeah. So, firstly, it's a very subjective thing to talk about mental health. So, when I'd like to say what it means to me, I usually say that mental health for me to be healthy as a whole, mental wellness plays a role. So, if you really want to be healthy, you need to concentrate upon your mental health. And it's a process. It's just not something that happens overnight. It's a process, it's a conscious effort that you make towards your emotional well-being, your mental well-being, indulging into self-care and self-love activities. So yeah, I mean, self-care activities can be something very small, like having a proper sleep routine, having a proper diet, going for walks, having your to-do list, listening to good music, and that's about it. So you need to just take baby steps, and that's how you can have a healthy mental health. So yeah.
Great, thank you. It would be great if you could give us a brief about today's topic and what we can discuss about.
Right. So I think one of the most crucial topics, which is very less spoken right now, is suicide. So suicide, as we all know, when someone basically is hopeless or don't have the motivation to live anymore, they usually die of suicide. They either attempt suicide or they have a successful suicide. So yes. So there are many factors that kind of play an important role when we talk about suicide, like the marital status, the age, the sex of the person, the health factors. For example, if someone has a very life threatening disease, they are at a higher risk compared to someone who is not having any life threatening disease, like for example, cancer and AIDS. So, yeah.
Okay, great. I'm really sorry. Yeah. So,
That's
why don't you, before, why don't you just, help us with what are some of the, I would not, I don't know if symptom is the right word or the way they react is the right word. What's the right word? I'm not sure about that. But if you could
right.
help us with what are some kind of suicidal behaviors or what kind of now, how could we
Mhm.
recognize that some person is thinking about or giving a thought
Right.
to suicide? Yeah.
Right. So the warning signs basically when we talk about that for suicide, the two major ways I'd like to divide it is by their talk, the way they talk to the person, or the way they behave. So when I say talk, it can be in a very direct manner that when they are talking or indulging into conversation, they might just say that they don't want to live anymore, they want to die, or in a very indirect manner that they think that they are a burden to you or the family or to their friends, and then they'll have a very negative view of themselves. They'll always pull themselves down. Even when you're conversing with them, they'll be like, I'm good for nothing, why am I even here? So statements like these when they are actually talking. And when I talk about the behavior, so when someone is thinking or considering suicide, one of the major things is that they indulge into self-harm. Okay. The second important thing the behavior that they indulge into, that there's a lot of irritability and drastic changes in the mood. They'll start calling people to tell them a goodbye. And one of the most important thing that is noticed, especially in the elderly, is they start giving away all their possessions and start making the will. so that they, they kind of, that they are considering it, and they start isolating themselves. They don't talk much to people, they want to just be with themselves, and these are the few little signs. And yeah, there's of course a suicide assessment risk, the suicide risk assessment that is there, that can be done by a psychologist. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. Great. Yeah. So thank you for sharing that also. Uh,
Right.
it's of course when some kind of something a person is wrong, or something is going in his or her mind, or their mind, or whatever is going in a person's mind. It's a lot of stuff going in. They are thinking about a lot of different stuff. Um, and you never know, because there are some there are some who just uh, take things lightly. There are some who make things fun, or there are some people who are very serious. So
Right.
how can you help and understand that this person really may do something wrong, or harm himself, or hurt himself, or herself, or them in some other way? How could you differentiate and understand that?
See, so basically, there's no book that or a Bible that basically says that if a person is going to indulge into these things, then they are going to think of suicide, or they are thinking of suicide. So there's nothing, because it's a very subjective thing. For some, it might be a very impulsive decision. Possibly they just got a rejection and hence they are planning of suicide. Or for someone, it might be a long-term plan that they've been making since months. Like I mentioned that giving away the possessions, making the will, which really says that it might be a long term plan. They've been planning it since long, and that's when finally they are thinking of it and everything. So a few things that you as a relative or as a friend can do basically is, one thing which is very important is give them hope, because when someone is thinking of suicide, they've really lost hope in living. So it is very important to give them hope and make them look at the brighter side, that what is life. And the second thing that you can do is decrease the availability of lethal means. When I say that, like, there shouldn't be around knife, or possibly there shouldn't be a rope, something on these lines. And the third thing is that consult a psychologist. Definitely, if you're seeing some, like the behaviors that I just mentioned, or the way that they are talking, if you see something, some changes, then please consult a psychologist. And the fourth point that we have is, please do not leave them alone. I mean, you need to attend them at all times. Like, never a chance should be there where they are left alone in the house or anything.
Okay, great.
So, we have the classic saying that Nazar hati, durghatna ghati. That's exactly what it is. So, when you think that something is going amiss, then just be around that person, try giving them hope, empathize with them, understand. And yeah, I think even there are times, I think there's this biggest myth about suicide that is there. If I'm going to talk about suicide, the other person is going to consider doing it. That is a biggest myth. If you feel that, okay, this person is showing some warning signs, talk about it, address it, ask them that, is it something that's going in your mind? Or for example, even if the person is saying that, okay, I want to die, or I want to, I don't want to live anymore, or something on these lines. I think this notion that people have is, when someone says like this, they're just seeking attention, which is a very big myth, because when someone talks about this, we have the tendency of thinking that, oh, matlab is insan ko to sirf attention chahiye, that's why they are possibly doing this. But maybe they just need support and not attention. So possibly there can be a shift in the way we think and look at things. And last thing that we think is, when somebody is kind of somebody's died by suicide, we always have the tendency of saying, kitna selfish hai, he did not even think about his family, he did not even think about his friends or anything. No, it's not selfish. They have gone through a lot, they've felt a certain way, and that's when they've decided to do this. So yeah, I think let's just break the stigma around this, look at it in a manner where we can support the other person and be there in their journey and help them get out of it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. um Again, then brings me to the next question is, how what are the things we can try to prevent such things from happening or taking place? What are the preventions? Of course, I'm not sure if uh, there can be solution to it, but of course prevention is possible. So what can we do to prevent?
So the same thing that I told, that you need to give the person hope, be around the person. And if you feel that, then please consult a psychologist or a psychiatrist. Also, there are many group therapies that happen in and around that. So you can also, enroll them for group therapies or for possibly CBT and medication. So that is a psychiatrist that you can visit, and that the psychiatrist will prescribe you certain medications. You can take that. And art therapy, basically art therapy, because it will be easier for them to express themselves through the basis of art. So these are the few things that you can really do with someone you think is at a higher risk. So yes.
Okay. The sole reason for me to start this podcast was to speak to people regarding mental health. And as it's stigmatized, there are some who don't wish to speak. There are some who can't, don't have necessary money to give. There are some very, very middle class families or below middle class families who, even if they are sick, they don't go to, even to doctor. So I think
Right.
spending money on mental health, to go to a psychologist, psychiatrist, and of course, um, for us and people like you and me, or people watching this, it won't be expensive. We can do it. But there are some,
Right.
I think it becomes difficult. There are some who can't give money for it. So my question
Right.
to you now, which brings me to the question here, is what can then we, if we can't enroll them to a psychiatrist, if we can't help them through going to a mental health expert, um, what are the best things we can try from our side, you know
See,
uh,
firstly, right. So the first thing that is there are a lot of toll-free numbers and NGOs who are working for the mental health for free of cost. So there's like a list of resources which I can share with you when you uploading the podcast. You can
Sure.
write it in the description box.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of toll-free numbers that can be there. And still, if the person is really resistant of not really calling on that number or going for therapy, a few things that you can do as a friend or a family members, be there with them, stick around them. There are going to be rough days, there are going to be bad days, there are going to be days where they're going to throw a tantrum, but I just the most important thing is stick around them and empathize with them, understand what they are exactly going through, step into their shoes. And it's very important to understand that they are not over here to seek attention. They have a lot of things on their plate that they are dealing with, and it's very important that we especially understand this, and we kind of break the stigma. And I think there's a lot of stigma also around men's mental health, that oh ladke rote nahi hai and all. So when you see someone getting teary eyed, or if you see a friend getting teary eyed, just lend them a shoulder. You don't need to laugh about it, or you don't need to judge them, are why are you crying like a girl or something. It's the most wrong thing that you can ever say to anybody. So, just little things, we possibly in our daily life, we say a lot of things which we don't realize that
Yeah.
it might go wrong to the person. But a little conscious effort when we are talking, we just put a little conscious effort while, kind of saying the words that we are and filtering our thoughts out, it can do wonders. It really can do wonders. And just sometimes, with not even talking, but even listening can be a great thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, great, great. Thank you very much for sharing it. So I think, Nidhi, it would be great if you could, leave a message before ending. We end this. It would be great if you could leave a message for people watching this.
Right. Right. So, one thing that I'd like to say is that be there for everybody, but most importantly, be there for yourself. In the process of being there for everybody, don't just forget yourself. And if, like the start, when I started, I said that, you need to indulge in self care and self love. Remember that it's not selfish. In order to help others, you need to be fit yourself, and that's when you'll be able to help others.
Yeah.
And have your boundaries. You can have bad days. So, when you have bad days, just be with yourself. You don't have to have the pressure of kind of um like being there for everybody or anything. Just be calm, just have your own day. Everyone has bad days, and it's absolutely okay. So
Great.
yeah.
Great. Yeah. So thank you very much, Nidhi, for being here. It was a pleasure to have you. A small crisp
Same
question.
here.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you, Nidhi.